Welcome to Massive Beers. My name's Matt, and we are going to do a beer review today. That's right, we're going to do a beer review by a brewery I've had a little bit from before, and I dug it. Pretty sure my boy Oak Ridge, a little bit of Kelsen up in this piece. Yeah, this be their Day Raider Belgian White. Okay, so you're talking about a brewery brewing a 5.2% Belgian-style white ale. They are from New Hampshire, Derry, New Hampshire to be specific. And this beer, hand-marked, a couple weeks old. You know, New England, Belgian white, that's a tall order to stand up to. You're talking about Allagash up in this piece, so kind of excited. Label-wise, I'm not a big fan of the labels. They're kind of very much like Pathfindery Dungeons and Dragons labels, but it kind of fit the style of beers I've had from them. I do have an IPA in there, but I believe I did like... I had a Belgian triple that reviewed that came out of a growler. Did that with my boy Keith and his lovely partner Katie. The previous beers I had, I think it was like maybe a Belgian brown or something like that. But yeah, looks the part. Here we are, a little bit of Dirty Glass Mafia, but I mean, looks all the part of a Belgian white. Just has that soft kind of like pale ale-ish looking, kind of hazy pale ale kind of vibe to it. Not much of a head to speak of. Not that you expect a big one on a Belgian white, but you can. Spilling stuff everywhere, as I am been known to do. My keyboard, which is right here that you guys never see, I need to take all the key caps off and clean it because there's beer in there. Because I'm me and I do dumb stuff like spill beer all the time, so try and get a nose. That'd be a Belgian white. There's almost a spiciness to it outside of what you normally get from a typical Belgian white. You get that kind of orange, peely, kind of coriander, kind of almost cardamom-y kind of thing. But it's almost like an extra spice to this one. Like a little bit... something else, and I can't quite put my fingers on it, or my nose on it, if you were. It's more of like a poultry spice. I know that's kind of weird. Like it's not sage, it's not rosemary, but it's kind of living in that universe. This is me probably trying to reach, but there's a soft sweetness to it. It smells all the part of like a grain oat thing. I don't think there is wheat in here. I think traditionally you'd typically find wheat in a Belgian white, but I feel like there's not a big wheat phenolic to it. It's more of like an oaty green driven thing with that little bit of spiciness and just that kind of typical, like, stopping short of like super banana bubblegummy kind of yeasty phenolic. We're just gonna dive in. Cheers, y'all. That's pretty aggressive for a Belgian white as far as flavor. You know, drinking this, knowing it's 5.2, I think if I were to drink this and didn't know the ABV on it, I think it'd be a little bit bigger of a beer. It's almost like there is orange peel in here. I'm getting a big orange component to it. But it's like an orange zestiness. There is something odd in here that I'm not a fan of. And it's really, really fresh. But I kind of want to call it just like oxidation. I don't think it's like it's sitting around too long in the can kind of oxidation. I think there was some negative oxygen involved in the brewing process, because there very much is like a kind of aggressive wet paper bagginess thing going on here. Musty wet paper bag. It's not hyper aggressive, but it's there. So that I kind of have to be like, I can definitely leave that. There's times when I'm a big fan of a touch of oxidation. A Belgian white is not one of them. So that's probably the biggest thing that's throwing like a little bit of a hurdle for me. It's just that little bit of that. It's almost like something else, and I can't really put my finger on it. What is that? I don't know what that is. But it's a flavor I've tasted before, so it's almost like I don't eat a lot of wet paper bag. There's something to it. I don't know what it is. I don't think I'm going to be able to think of it. A fair beer. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, this is the worst wit I've ever had. I'm not going to sit here and say the best one I ever had. If you were to eliminate that kind of off flavor in there, that wet paper, slightly medicinal wet paper is the way I would put it. I think it would ring as a very pretty, well done Belgian wit, but with that kind of subtle offness on it, it really does kind of take the beer and kind of throw it on its side. to the point where, honestly, let's not just sugarcoat it. It ruins it for me. And it's not overt, man. It's not a big, huge, like, wow, this beer is sideways. But there is something in here that is big enough for it to, for me, I can't ignore it. I don't know what it is. It's almost like, remember when you ate those, what were they? Remember when you were a kid and you got the ice cream things and you had to eat it with the wooden stick and the stick tasted like something? It tastes kind of like that, but in a worse way. So like balsa woody, like an oxidative balsa woody. So wet, instead of wet paper bag, wet balsa wood. But yeah, it's, you know, it is what it is. It's kind of a bummer. It's kind of one of those things where I just want to go up to the brewery one day and actually drink the Sun Draft and see what it's like. But it has all the bits and pieces of what you'd come to expect from a Belgian wit. Be a little bit aggressive on those flavors, but not overbearing. So I can dig on that. It's just that aftertaste that lingers, that wet balsa wood, if you were. It kind of throws me for a bit. So, unfortunately, kind of a mess for me. Yeah, let's talk about it. One of the better Belgian woods I've had of late. Obviously not. Let me know the price on this Oak Ridge and leave it with. Let's talk about it. Have you had Kelsen stuff? I'm curious about the brewery. Have you been there? Have you had a bunch of their stuff? Have you had this beer in particular? Because I'm curious to see what you think if you have had it, more specifically this batch, which is 5/10/22. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hope to see you next time. Cheers, all.